Hey historians, it's Mrs. Tyler. We're going to wrap this up for Unit 4, Notes 5. Today we're going to finish up the Great War. We were talking about the impact of World War I, some of the effects, and I was kind of explaining who these guys were. These are what we call the Big Four. Wilson's 14 points was a flop. We talked about how he had come up with his 14 points of light, and they're going to is supposed to make sure that World War I, or the Great War, is the war to end all wars. Millions of people come out to cheer for President Wilson when he arrives in Paris to attend the peace conference. The Big Four leaders met to discuss terms of peace. Wilson's plan sounded nice, but most countries who were allies really wanted to punish Germany for their role in expanding the war, especially the way that they treated the civilians in France when they had, were occupying those French cities. And the death toll that was just so harsh. These are the Big Four: U.S. President Wilson, French Premier Georges Clemenceau, British Prime Minister David Lloyd George, and then Italian Prime Minister Vittorio Orlando. After difficult negotiations, the Allies agreed to the Treaty of Versailles. Versailles was the city in France where the peace treaty was signed. The formal treaty to end the war dealt harshly with Germany. It made Germany give up all of its colonies. It changed the borders for all of the Central Powers. Germany was forced to pay reparations. The term reparations, the root word is repay. Okay, repay the Allied countries. It's a repayment to cover the war damages. Basically, you broke it, you fix it, you pay for it. So in your notes, please write down Treaty of Versailles. And page 12 in our notes has these terms highlighted. Okay. On page 2 in our notes packet in the front page, inside front cover, we had added World War I begins in 1914. Now we're adding World War I ends in 1918, November 11th, 11:11 a.m. The Armistice was signed. We now celebrate that day here in the United States as Veterans Day. We honor anyone who has ever served in peace or war for any of our armed forces here in the United States. In Europe and Canada, they still celebrate it as Armistice Day, and it's specifically focused on World War I. So there were a number of flaws with the Treaty of Versailles. Germany was dealt with very harshly and forced to take full blame for the war. President Woodrow Wilson could not convince the European nations to create he convinced the European nations to create the League of Nations, but he couldn't convince the United States to join, and we talked about some important reasons why the U.S. felt like it was unconstitutional, and it would tie us into situations in Europe that we maybe didn't want to necessarily always automatically be involved in. Russia had fought with the Allies up until 1917, but when they had the Russian Revolution, but they were not included in the peace conference, partly because the people had chosen a communist dictatorship, and we didn't invite communist dictatorships to peace treaties. But the peace treaty then took land away from Russia to create some independent countries in Eastern Europe. So Russia's kind of punished, even though they had been on the same side. So here is the map of Europe before World War I. Remember, this is the Austro-Hungarian, big old Austro-Hungarian Empire, the Ottoman Empire, and Germany. These are the three main Central Powers countries. Take a peek at how that's going to look differently. So the impact of the treaty: Germany is forced to pay billions in reparations, and they're stripped of their colonies. The United States did not join the League of Nations, and Russia fought with the Allies but lost more land than Germany. If you take a peek at the new map, Germany's borders get pushed way over here, but they still did not lose as much land as the USSR had lost. Poland is a new country that's formed out of the former Germany, Russia, Austro-Hungarian Empire. The Ottoman Empire basically just becomes Turkey. Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Austria are all formed out of what used to be the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Yugoslavia, Albania, Bulgaria, those countries are created to try to alleviate some of the issues that we had seen right up to before World War I started, with different ethnic groups wanting self-government throughout Europe. So that's what we ended up with. there's a political cartoon we want to take a peek at. This was published at the end of World War One. It says, the name of it is called Peace and Future Cannon Fodder. Okay, so this is the big four. Okay, leaving. This is Woodrow Wilson and Clemenceau and Italy's prime minister, Britain's prime minister, the Tiger, who is who we called the nickname for Clemenceau, France's prime minister, says, "Curious, I seem to hear a child weeping." And above the child, we see the word, and yes, the child has its bottom showing. It's to portray innocence, like they're completely innocent in all of what has gone down, but and you can kind of tell how old they are at this point. If this was signed in 1918 and they're the class of 1940, basically we're saying in another 20 years, this is the group of people who are going to have to pay for what was decided by these men at the Treaty of Versailles. And so this generation, this class of 1940, who will be about 20 years old, 22 years old, when World War II starts, they are going to become the future cannon fodder. Cannon fodder, it refers to people who are sent off to die in war. All right, so that brings us to the end of World War I. And we know that it is not the war to end all wars, because we do have a Second World War and we have fought other wars since. All right, thanks for listening.